if you really want to have a successful relaunch, you need to become invisible first before you see the visible. And that's where 3HQ, that's where that becomes a choice of life for your business and your personal self.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. Hey, if you've ever felt like you have been stuck in a place where you want to grow your business, improve your mindset, and overcome boundaries, this episode is going to blow your socks off. I actually get coached personally in it, and this method that Hilary uses is something I've never heard before, and I love it. So let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. This is your host, Camille Walker, and I am so excited because today we are going to hear from Hilary DeCesare, who is the third-time international best-selling author, also the author of Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. And I am so thrilled to have you, Hilary, on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, this is so much fun. I love it. I wish we had actually recorded the first, almost 20, 25 minutes of our conversation because it was so good. So we'll have to backtrack a bit.
I think so too. That's partly my fault. I always have to pause people and say, "Oh, no, we can't say anymore," because I feel like it's cheating people to hear about the magic. Now, we did talk about kids. We talked about life experience, but tell us about your heart. Where did you start in business? And take us some years back into what led you to the path of coaching women and helping them discover that ignite within their heart.
So it really was an interesting beginning because for so many, and I'm sure maybe even this is you, we sometimes just let things happen and evolve. And sometimes you're not even really sure, how did I get on this circuitous path and end up where I am? And thank God I did, because it's really amazing now. But there were times where I was like, oh God, please step in right now. I need a little help. And so I started in pre-med and decided about my first year, I did not want to do it. I was going that route because my dad was a doctor and my grandfather was a doctor. So for many out there, you might be still in a career that you're not even sure why, but it just kind of was like, it just seemed like the natural path. And then from there, I realized I really wanted to do something that was more along the business entrepreneur route. And so what was a really great experiment, I guess I should say, is I went to my advisor at school, and my dad had said, you're out of state, it's expensive. You can stay in that school as long as you get out in 4 years. So I'm like, and so my advisor said, hey, you got two choices. You can go psychology or anthropology. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm better at dealing with the mind than I am with digging up bones and thinking about, all of that. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. I ended up loving it. I mean, it lit me up. And then my path kind of unfolded where I ended up in the Silicon Valley. I got a job at a high-tech company. I spent 10 years there. And this is a girl who knew nothing about tech. I didn't even know how to type when I first got to this place, because I had used a woman named the Phantom Typer. In the middle of the night, I would drop off my paper, and in the morning, she would have it back for me. And I'd be like, oh my God, it sounds even better than the way I wrote it. I can never learn how to type. It doesn't do me justice. So I ended up getting into this life. And then the president of Oracle, who I was incredibly close with after almost 10 years, he came to me and said he was going to a venture capital firm called Kleiner Perkins and asked if I would come and coach his portfolio companies that they had invested in. And next
Wow.
thing you know, there's an icon. His name is John Doerr. He had his portfolio executives, and next thing you know, I had this huge room. I didn't know what the heck I was doing from a coaching perspective. And fast forward 2 decades later, I've never stopped coaching, but I did really catch the entrepreneurial bug during the time I was coaching all of these execs on putting frameworks together for scalability and growth. And I decided it was at that time I needed to venture out and create something on my own. And that was a tech company to keep kids safe online. There were some other ones before that that ended up being alongside. I was doing multiple companies at the same time. One was a consulting company, which is now called coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just this whole awesome way that it came to be. But let me tell you, there were a lot of bumps along the road. And when I was just starting, one of the biggest ventures that I did, where I raised almost $10 million from venture capital and a bunch of angel investors, I ended up going through a divorce, and I had 3 little kids, and I was feeling like I wasn't good at anything. I wasn't being a good mom. I wasn't being a good, in a fiduciary responsible way. I wasn't, being at the company for all day, all night, like you hear about people living in their garages. And it really took a toll. It took a toll. And you said, how did I end up where I am? Relaunch has so much significance to me and the path that led me to where I am. And it was, if I count, I think I have over 30 significant relaunches, from divorce to career changes to melanoma, lots of, kid health issues. And then there were, both my parents died. My mom died very suddenly from cancer, and they were heavy duty. I think I share in the book that I moved. I don't even think I counted the times that my dad moved, but I think I moved almost 10 different houses.
Wow.
While I was growing up, and it was constant change. And when my parents got divorced, I was moving all around. I was in LA, I was in San Francisco, and it just was this crazy relaunch time. And I realized that, what was I doing? Because some of my friends would call and be like, I need your help. Oh my God, Hilary, you got to help me get through this. I know you've been through that. And I'm like, yeah, I've been through that. And I've been through that. And okay, I did that. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I kind of feel like I'm like the relaunch queen. And do I really want to be? Because is this a good thing? It's an interesting journey.
Wow. Well, I think I love that you put it in terms of relaunch. When I talk to women and their journeys in different periods of their life, I talk about seasons a lot because, dependent upon women and what we go through with raising children and careers and moving and divorce, like you said, it's a season of life. But I like that you put it in terms of relaunching. And I'm curious, what, with going through so much relaunching as a child, especially, and then into adulthood, what are some of those key factors that you learned about relaunching your life to be able to keep momentum, to be able to start again?
Such a great question, because I think when you think about a setback, you think about kind of the bounce back. When you think about a relaunch, there are positive relaunches too, right? When you have the kids, when you even, get remarried, as I did, and now I have 2 incredible stepchildren. Yeah, it's a pack of 5 now. And when we get them together, and if they bring their boyfriends, girlfriends, it's like, it is like we're having a conference. It's incredible. But that's the thing. There are the positives as well as the negatives. And when you look at a relaunch as a change in your direction, a change in your path, you might be going through, and I always like to take people through their decades, like, look at it. How's the last, 10 years been for you? What relaunches? Have you gotten married? Have you had children? Are there other significant factors in your life? And where I like to take people is, You can have a relaunch, a transition, but let's make sure there's a transformation. Let's make sure there's a silver lining to it. And I can honestly say I have a podcast called, it used to be called the Silver Lined Relaunch. Now it's just the Relaunch podcast. As we got bigger and bigger, it just we dropped the silver lining. But that's such an important part of everyone's relaunch. And I have asked over 150, maybe even 160, 170 now, if you could go back. And I've talked to people that have gone through the most heart-wrenching loss of children, violation of their bodies, a woman who was zipped up in a body bag, people that have literally, lost the limbs, lost, and, terrible accidents. And I ask, would you go back and change what happened to you? And you know what? Not one has actually ever said yes. Because we realize that with these silver linings, you evolve and you become who you are today. And it's when you can get out of your own way, right? Of saying, that was my fault. You've got hangups around it, and you can give yourself the freedom to accept it as circumstantial. And the way I like to phrase it is I have a framework called the 3HQ, and the H's stand for head, heart, and higher self. And the higher self is your best self, your best version of you. It doesn't have to be a religious, it could be God if that's what you believe. It could be universe, spirituality. But 3HQ became the go-to for myself and my clients. And here's the thing, sometimes a relaunch can be a relaunch in your business when you have a really incredible quarter and then the next bombs out, or you have you're scaling your revenue. And I always like to say that you get to different gates, and gates could be getting to your first 6-figure year. And then you get into the 250,000, the 500,000, the 7-figure, that's a different gate. And at every gate, you're relaunching. You're relaunching what you need to be doing, because what got you there won't get you to the next gate. It's about opening yourself up to the core. In physical fitness, we talk about the core being so important to build everything off of the core, right? You don't just start with working out your arms or your legs. You go with the core first. And you have to be doing that not only with your business, but also with your personal self. And a lot of times we're so focused on the visible, what we see transactionally, the money in the bank, where if you really want to make a change, if you really want to have a successful relaunch, you need to become invisible first before you see the visible. And that's where 3HQ, that's where that becomes a choice of life for your business and your personal self.
Oh, that's fascinating. I want to go back to what you said about becoming invisible before you become visible. What does that mean? Is that about discovering a transcendent piece of who you are, or what? Explain what that means a little bit. I'm trying to envision what that means.
Okay, so I keep things very simple.
Okay.
So you're already taking it to a much higher level, and that comes as you continue to evolve in the relaunch programs. But initially what I say is, when you think about your head, when you think about the fact that there's something that is challenging you, there's something that hasn't quite, it's like the missing puzzle piece. You haven't quite had that circle perfectly fit into another circle. You're jamming things. Why is that? Why do we feel discontent? Do we feel the lack of, I'm not excited about what I'm doing. This is a grind. And especially for those entrepreneurs that are listening right now, and you're a mom, and you're a wife and you're trying to be everything to everyone, a lot of times the one thing that we put on the back burner is ourselves. And when we think about working on our own self, there's a disconnect between your heart. And I know I had it, perhaps you've had it, perhaps your listeners can agree to this, is that there are so many people, so many gurus out there, so many people that, you know, we admire that say from the stages, you got to love your life, love your business, love, 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 love. And I know I was one of them. I'm like, I have no idea how to get there from where I am right now. I don't love myself. I don't even like myself. And I'm not happy with where I am. And so I'm in this like almost hate mode, self-sabotage mode, self-image deprecation mode. And I realized that there were probably a lot more people like me out there that needed help crossing the chasm from really self-sabotage to not going right to love, but let's take a step just to like. I just want to like me first. And I didn't even know I wanted to like myself. I just wanted to like other things that were out there. I always thought there was something wrong with me when I wasn't just always happy. And I have a pretty good disposition of life, and I enjoy myself. I love life. I have one of my core values with the business is joie de vivre, that joy of life. Like, God, can we please make it fun?
Yeah.
Can we please like belly laugh? Because that's where I need, that lights me up. But a lot of times we gotta look at it and assess what's really going on internal. And why are we not able to do that? Why do we flip-flop so much? Why do we have the relaunch roller coasters happening all the time? Why can't I keep a consistent business? You know, why can't it continue to scale? Why do I feel like, you know, I don't have the people supporting me? It's all these, what I call bugs, beliefs underground surfacing, these limiting beliefs that are deep inside of us. And until we're willing to go there, and in the book, I call it hell in the hallway, where, you know I did it. Maybe you've done it. When you don't want to deal with something, my God, close the door, just shut the door. But then you have to realize those bugs can crawl under the door. They can crawl through the keyhole. And it's like, and this literally just happened to me the other day. My daughter came to visit, my youngest daughter and her boyfriend, and she comes out of her room. She just got there, and she's like, Mom, you know, there's a couple ants in my room. And I'm like, I didn't take care of it. I was like, oh, just kill them, man. Don't worry about it. Well, what I forgot was that my son had been there, and who knows what he was, you know, drinking in there or eating in there, or, you know, who knows what's under the bed. And so I didn't do anything. And in the morning, you know exactly what was there. It was thousands of ants. And that's exactly what happens when you keep pushing through things and don't deal with what's going on the inside, the subconscious level, your limiting beliefs that are literally disempowering you. And they show up again at the most inopportune time when people come to visit, and you're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm trying to be, you know, happy and upbeat, but I don't know what's going on. That's what's happening. It's all behind. So when I say you have to be invisible, it goes against everything that social media, everything that society is telling us to be. You know, get out there, be visible. But I got to tell you, if you're showing up at that level of energy, and emotions, every single emotion has a level of energy that it vibrates at. Everything in this entire world is energetic, all the way to your brain waves, your emotions, and they have a different level. And there's a fantastic law. I do a lot with universal laws and the 12. And there's a law that we all know, law of attraction. But the law above it, that takes the law of attraction in, is something called the law of resonance, which is how you're resonating, how you're vibrating is going to bring in on the outside what you're trying to attract. Well, if you're at a different level and you're like, I want this business to be 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures. And I've worked with all of them, from incubation to selling businesses for 250 million. You have to understand that you won't have what you're going for until we level you up, until we look at it like, yeah, there's gates in your business, but there's also gates within yourself. Mm-hmm. And how do we take you up that level? And 3HQ is one of the most incredible ways to do that. And we always talk about starting the 3HQ process with one incredible step-by-step process, 4 steps. And if you're up for it, I would love to take you through it. It's a little bit of a coaching thing, so you're going to hear me coach along the way. But what do you think? Are you up for it?
Yes. And just so you know, those who are listening, I have no idea what's coming.
Yeah, no, she really doesn't, everyone. And that's why I love when I can tell I'm one of those very intuitive people. I had another relaunch. I had a near-death experience where I crossed over when I was about 2 years old.
Oh my
gosh. Just the craziness that I can feel. And when I'm coaching people, it's like, holy moly. But this is why I love it. And I felt like you were going to be open to this. So let's do this. Okay. So this is called time to tune in, and it's the tune in process. And too many of us are tuning out these days because it's just so much easier, right?
Yeah.
But yet we have goals. We have aspirations. We have priorities that we need to do. And so what I want to do is help people, including you, up-level yourself so that you can really, law of resonance, resonate with what you're trying to bring into your life. Okay. So step 1 is I want you to think about a challenge that you have going on right now in your, let's just keep it business, because the other, I think you can easily take the business, but it's sometimes hard to take the personal and understand how to put it towards business. So let's think of something that you're challenged with right now in your business.
Okay.
And can you share with us what that is? What is it that you want to do?
Yeah. So I have a program called 60 Days to VA, where I help stay-at-home moms build their own virtual assistant businesses. And then I also help busy entrepreneurs to hire my graduates. So I'm at a place now where the program has been built. I've seen it bless women in so many incredible ways. And now I'm at that place of investing in the marketing piece of up-leveling it to expand beyond, my little marketing efforts and also referrals. But it's
so good.
A big leap of, what do I invest in? Where's the best place to put my money? How much money should I put in? That whole thing.
Oh, this is so great. This is like, I feel like I couldn't have teed this up any better. So this is so great. So basically you are looking at those gates where you're crossing through a gate. And what we want to be able to do when you start to think about what should you be investing in? How much should you be investing? What is really going to give you the biggest bang for your buck? This is what we want to be bringing in. Now, you could right now be trying to think about how to do that at your current level. And this is step 1. You're sitting here, you're like, okay, but if you already knew, you'd be doing it. Okay. So step 2, and Albert Einstein said something so profound. He said, you can't solve a problem at the level it was created. You can't solve a problem at the level it was created. Okay. Remember I said I keep things really simple.
Yeah.
I didn't understand really what that meant until 3HQ and until Tune In. And once I cracked the code and put this all together, it was like success was just, I became a manifestation magnet. It was just crazy. It was just so good. So if that still is like, what does she mean? Here's what I mean. I need right now, Camille, I need you to change your channel. And the way we're going to change your channel, the way we're going to elevate you so that you are now resonating with that incredible company and you're investing in exactly what you should be. You're spending on things that are impacting your bottom line, your profit margins, all of this great stuff that you need to be focused on. I want you to think of a song that truly fires you up, that lights you up. Do you have a song that when you hear it, you're like, you can't be anything but like elevated in your energy?
Yeah. I love a song called Glitter in the Air by Pink.
Oh, I love that song. Okay,
Do you know that
Glitter
song?
in the Air. Yes,
Yeah,
that is
I
such
love it.
okay, so that is such a great song. So now what I want you to do is shut your eyes and I want you to think about that song. Take it from your head, have it pouring in from above. It's coming in, it's filling your entire body. You're moving your body. You're moving it. You can feel it inside your body. You can hear it. I want you to turn it up. Tune in to that song, turn it up. And I want you to just embrace the feeling of your energy level elevating right now. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So now open your eyes. And are you feeling the song? It's kind of going through you.
Yeah.
Step 3 is now I want you to visualize what it would look like at that next gate with investing the right amount of money. And I want you to close your eyes again and picture this in your mind. Close your eyes, picture this in your mind. And what I want you to see is what is the color that is predominantly coming to you right now? Because this is the neuroscience to make this image really get bigger and bigger in your subconscious. What is that?
Yellow.
Okay, yellow. So I want you to take that yellow, intensify it. And I'm going to ask you 3 times to open your eyes and shut them after I say the word click. And what you're doing is you're taking not an external picture, but an internal picture, creating a photo album of what you are putting out there, that image of you, super successful, investing in what you need to, putting your money, knowing the hows, knowing this, seeing all these incredible VAs around you that are also having their businesses take off through you. And I want you to open and close your eyes, click. Close your eyes, click. Close your eyes, click. Close your eyes. You now have 3 isolated pictures of what you are ultimately going for. So now I want you to open your eyes again, and this is step 4. You're going to tune in to Glitter in the Air. You're going to have that song again fill your body, fill your mind, fill your aura, fill everything around you. And I'm going to ask you to create momentum towards your photo album, those 3 pictures. What can you do right now today to make that happen, to make that image come to life? What is something that right away at this higher level of energy, you know you need to do?
I think I need to hire a marketing agency to help me reach that level.
Perfect. And so how will you find a marketing agency?
I'm actually interviewing a few right now.
Okay.
I'm right in that process.
So what I want you to think about is who will resonate.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're going in, and here's the best part of this, tune in. Tune in is something that, Camille, you should be doing multiple times during the day. It is a muscle. You do it before you get on an interview call. You do it before you write a funnel, before you do any type of lead magnet, before you have a stage presence where you're going to be going on, before you do a podcast. Tune in, elevate yourself so that you are on the level with that next image of you, where you're going, the identity of you already having that successful business with the vibrant yellow in your mind. And you can be taking pictures along the way and adding to your photo album. And the simple fact of anchoring when you open and close, and you literally just say click, you're capturing moments of time to also validate you're on your way to success. So as you interview, as you're looking at hiring this marketing firm, I want you to be literally thinking back into your success and thinking who's going to be right there alongside of you, who is operating at that highest level, who with Einstein, you can't solve a problem at the level it was created, who's already there, who's doing this with others. That's where I want you to focus in.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's the tune in process. And again, the more you can tune in throughout the day, everything. Literally, I can't tell you how many times before we jumped on this call, I was tuning in. Even when I was going through the exercise with you, I was tuning in again. This is how we make what we call our rocket goals are just these incredible people are like, but there's no way this could ever happen. And they happen. It's because they continue to tune in and use 3HQ.
That is so cool. I love doing that with you. That was so fascinating. Do you think that as people are tuning into that elevated space where they're resonating and they have those good vibrations, is that something where you encourage people to have that song ready to play at any moment? Or is it possible for that song to change? Like what is that for people?
Super question. And this is what I want people to realize. One, you can play it inside your head. And you heard me say, turn it up, turn it up, because there's a level of vibration that as you turn it up, it gets louder and it becomes more intense. Or you can play it and actually hear it auditory wise. I tune into a song every morning, and it's my song of the day. And that's the song that's like, I wake up and I go down to my husband's, making tea, making coffee. And I literally do a little dance to my song. Like that's how I get fired. My morning routine, and my social media wants me to record this so badly. And I've done
great.
I've done like one of them, and I'm like, I've gotta really think if I want to embrace this like next element. But I tune in through the day. And as I say, some days I know what I'm doing that day, and I need, Eye of the Tiger. Yes. I need, the Rocky. Yeah. I need to jam. Some days I'm like, today's a day that I need introspection. I need that place of, and I just thought of a song, I think of these songs. So for me, it's a playlist. And sometimes it's African music where I've been taking some African dance class. Sometimes sometimes I just randomly decide, hey, this is going to be my song. What is my song of the day? And I and this all started with when my daughter was young, we would play the change the channel game and would tune in to getting her out of kind of a bad mood, pissy mood, whatever it was. We'd be in the car, and she loves to sing. And we would pretend to turn the radio on, and I would say, all right, Taylor Swift. And she would sing any song, and then I could change it at any time. And sometimes I just loved the way she was singing. I let her keep going. Other times I'd be like Rolling Stones. And she'd be like, Mom. And then I'd say country, and she could pick anything. And then I would be like pop. So I would give her, I'm not kidding, by the end of, I don't care if we did it for 3 minutes or if we did it for 20 minutes, she was in a completely different state.
Yeah.
So it's just, so as a mom, you could start to do this
I love that tip. That's
with those kids that are like, in the pissy moods.
Yeah, what's fascinating about this, and I don't know that I've talked to my husband about this, but I am one of those people, and I don't know if you're like this, but it sounds like you are, where I will almost have, if I stop and listen for a minute, there is a song playing in my head. And I'm like, oh, what song's on my radio?
Always.
And it's almost like it's almost like elevator music, like it's back there playing, or, You get that.
Always.
So I love that we had mentioned this before, that I love to sing, and I'm like, well, it depends on what my song is, because I love, do I want to sing it, or am I like trying to pump myself up, or this or that? So I love that you created a framework around that, because I think there is so much power in actual vibrations of music and what it can do for our psyche and to our hearts.
And for those that are like, oh, I don't have a playlist, you got one song. What's the one song that you can come back to over and over? What is that? I mean, is it a song that, just you remember as being, again, I wanted to elevate you. A lot of times, when people are really depressed, they put on those songs like, I'm going to kill myself. I hate my life. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what, even if you are in the crappiest state, what song, if you hear it, it's going to change your state. It will change it. And I got to say, there's been a couple that, are like, I'm really, I'm challenged. I don't know. I can't think of any. And I had this happen. I'm on stage and there was, let's say over 100 people sitting there. And this gal's like, I don't know. So I put on Hallelujah. And I mean, everyone, including her, she's like, okay, I feel it. I just got chills. I now understand what you're talking about. That elevated energy. That's what we're going for. Because when you think about frequency, as I mentioned, and you're talking about frequency of emotion, the hertz level, the vibrational level of shame, blame, that anger is down 20, 30 levels. If you think of fear's at about 100. If you think of love, joy, they're above 500. And it doesn't just go 1x to 2x to 3x. It goes much more significant. So when you are in that state where you're like, oh my God, I love this song. It's a form of love. It is a form of emotional frequency, and you're elevating yourself. So then when you go ahead and you are putting something together for potentially your client, for a podcast, for something that will impact your business, you're operating from a higher level. So what do you think you're going to attract? You're going to attract through that creation something on the same energetic level. And this is science. This is scientific. I'm a complete geek when it comes to neuroscience. I've been studying it for over 10 years. I do have my psychology degree, but I also am deeply, because of my background in Silicon Valley, very, very heavy on show me statistics, show me the science. So I merge all of them together to give new contextual information to people, keeping it super simple, to say that you are so much more in control than you've ever thought. And this is the easiest way to tune in.
I love this. I love that it's simple, but that it's science. Like, I love that you brought that together, and that it's something for anyone listening right now probably has an idea or a song in their mind where they're thinking, oh yeah, that's my song, or that it can change. And I love that too, because as you were talking, I had a few come to my mind. And I think that puts us in such a higher state of creativity and actual flow, as they would say, a flow state of energy, which I love so much. So tell our audience,
and that's actually 3HQ.
Oh, okay.
When you get out of your head and you can start to align yourself with your heart, your why, that we talked about, that hate to like to love, you're doing all of that. That's when you literally tap in, which is what we did with that process of tune in. We hit the head in step 1. We hit not only the higher self in step 2, but also the emotion in step 3, and then back to the head. And it's this beautiful like Everloop that happens with 3HQ. And you have the control. It's like you're your own power source. You can self-generate. forget about like just plugging into a charger. It's a power source that you have at any time. So you can be sitting in a room with a lot of people and kind of go through this process in 30 seconds, 20 seconds or less. Streamline this in order to elevate yourself so that you then are bringing in ultimately what you want.
I love that. Well, I've got to get my hands on your book. I typically don't interview until I've read the book. So I apologize that I haven't read your book yet, because I know I'm going to love it. And you were just mentioning that you've recorded the Audible on it as well, so people can listen to the audio of that. Is it available yet?
Well, okay. the hard copy is available and the paperback, and the Audible will be available, fingers crossed, in the next couple of months, which I told you it was a long, arduous. I'm not someone who can sit for very long, and it took 18 hours of recording to get it. I was not overly good at the process because I would move, my bracelet would clink. I would be like, you have to stay so still. But one thing that I would encourage you to do is go to the relaunch.com, and a couple things that you'll see on there is, if you scroll down, there's a quiz that will take you through, where are you right now? Are you mostly in your head, your heart, or are you, already tapping into that higher self?
Well, this has been amazing. I feel like we already need a follow-up, because I feel like we could keep going in this. But thank you so much for being on the show. And please tell our audience where they can find you and your resources. And you said you had a retreat coming up too.
I do. And so it's actually the relaunchretreat.com, but you can also find it right at the relaunch.com. So at the very top, it gives you access to the retreat. We have one coming up in May, which I am so excited about, in Boulder, Colorado. And if you're catching this later, we have other retreats as well. But this is kind of our big yearly one for business entrepreneurs. And it's a female entrepreneur fest. And it's really, it's something we sold out last year. I know we're going to sell out this year. And so we're excited about literally the high level of women. And I talk about like-minded, and I don't want just like-minded women there. I want like energy. I want this thing to be off the rails, like holy, like you show up and you're like, oh, this is what it means to be opera. I want you to be buzzing. I want you to be like thinking that you are in Sedona at the Vortexes when you're in Boulder, Colorado. That's where we're going.
Well, that sounds amazing. I for sure want to check that out. Well, thank you so much. And we are for sure going to check out that website. We'll put the links below so you can look at that as well. And thank you so much for being here.
It was my pleasure. Thanks again. And thanks for being a good, being out there and being vulnerable.
Yes, it was amazing. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, please leave a rating and review where you are listening to this podcast. Anytime that this is shared, it helps to grow our community and help other women to be strong and confident in their lives and in the steps they're making to grow their lives and their businesses. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Hey CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please let me know in a comment and a 5-star review. You could have the chance of being a featured review on an upcoming episode. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast. And remember, you are the boss.